Hey guys, welcome back to Reroll the Tale, where I talk about my D&D character, Ridley, and her adventures in Wildmount. Last time we just left off, the party started adventuring out of Rexendrum and to wherever. As they begin their adventures, Darcy suddenly falls down a hole. Obviously, we have to investigate. We find a whole temple underground. We see this tree that has glowing fruits on it. Belinus decides to eat one, and suddenly we're attacked by robots. Why would you eat the glowing fruit, Belinus? Why? After we defeat them, we discover a portal, so obviously we have to go through it. We find almost a mirrored plane of the one that we're used to. There's this race of elves whose main goal is to increase their population. Yeah, we weren't about that. So we got the help of some dragons and we left. As we're exiting the portal, we all start to see some visions of ourselves. Ridley had 4 visions. The first one, it's a red sky, and she's standing on a pile of bodies. She recognizes the faces of her party, bloodied and at her feet. She looks down at herself and recognizes that she is covered in glowing eyes. 9 of them, to be exact. The next vision is of a jail cell, and Ridley is inside, just broken and manic. Next is a little bit different. She's holding the hand of a young girl, walking up a hill to a house sitting at the top, and she sees a woman looking down at her, smiling. Finally, she sees a vision of her mother and a purple tiefling, her mother on the ground covered in a pool of blood. They make it out of the portal and recognize that it's now spring. They entered the portal in fall, and they were only there for 2 days. They decide to make camp and rest for the night. When they wake up, they find Ivan, the man who employed them to steal from the Cerberus assembly. He attacks the party and is able to knock all of us unconscious. He then kidnaps Darcy and Belinus and puts them both in a cart and drags them off, while Holly, Ridley, Olivia, and Potato are knocked out. When those 4 come to, they immediately start following the tracks of the cart rolling away from them. They make their way back to Rexendrum, where the tracks seem to lead. After seeing those visions, Ridley decides to disguise herself as a purple tiefling, like the one she saw. They continue following the tracks and it leads up to a bar. With a pretty good intelligence check, Ridley recognizes this bar as one that her mother would frequent. She decides to walk up to the guards, who would only let in members of the bar. She drops her disguised self and just tries to walk in. The guards ask for her membership, and she says to them in Zemnian, "Don't you know who my mother is? I should be allowed in." They walk inside briefly and come back out with Vess, who was at the bar. That maybe should have been expected, but I did not think she would be there. Before Vess can get a word out, Ridley cuts her off and says, "Hello, Mother, we need to talk." After a few failed persuasion rolls, Vess still decides to talk, but only if Ridley will go back to her house with her. Ridley gives all of her possessions to Holly and Olivia, who are not currently being tortured inside. And Olivia's not happy about this at all. She says, "You had better come back because I still owe you a sword lesson." Ridley just responds, "I've already escaped Vess twice. This'll be no problem." They start to discuss how Ridley's companions are being tortured and kept in this bar. Vess says she'll have them released if Ridley can do something for her. After a few more low rolls, begrudgingly agrees, and Vess gives her a stone so that they can communicate. Ridley's still not happy about this bargain, begins looking around and notices a book that she doesn't recognize. She asks, or rather demands, to read the book, which Vess allows. She can't actually read the language, but she's absolutely entranced by the book. After a few minutes, just staring at the same page, Vess finally takes the book away. After that, they both agree that Vess will let Ridley's companions go, and that's where we'll end the episode. A little bit shorter this time. But oh man, this isn't gonna be good. If you have any theories, as always, as to what you think's gonna happen, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear. If you want to keep following Ridley's adventures, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time we reroll the tale.